Chapter 7. When fear became in control, I mistook the ache of fear for the voice of God, and for years I called my pain obedience. The thoughts from my youth, the phrase, "the devil made me do it," may sound cliche, but you'd be surprised how many truly believe that some demon, spirit, or dark force causes us to sin. I always get a chuckle watching one of the most underrated animated movies ever made, The Emperor's New Groove. One of its most lovable characters is Kronk, the villain's clueless yet good-hearted sidekick. Whenever he faces a moral dilemma, his conscience shows up in the form of a shoulder angel and a shoulder devil, and he often gets hilariously bad advice. Like when the devil shrugs off the angel's moral guidance and declares, "Don't listen to that guy. He's trying to lead you down the path of righteousness. I'm going to lead you down the path that rocks." It's funny, but it also reflects something deeply real. That belief that we are not truly responsible for our own moral choices, that someone or something else made us do it. But the truth is, when we sin, we do exactly what we want to do. We are not forced into anything that doesn't already align with our deepest desires. James, the brother of Jesus, wrote it plainly. "Let no one say when he is tempted, 'I'm being tempted by God,' for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire." We can't pass the buck. Our choices are ours. But fear gives us an escape route. It takes our mistakes, flaws, and failures, and instead of calling us to face the consequences, it sings a beautiful, persuasive song, one that convinces us to deny, to hide, to run. And I didn't just listen to that siren song, I put it on repeat. When it came to my failures, my response was always the same: deny it, hide it, ignore it, and most of all, lie about it. I carried that flaw into adulthood, tragically, into serious relationships. I hadn't dated much, but that didn't mean there wasn't a fire of sexual curiosity burning beneath the surface. But that fire was constantly restrained by an even greater desire to fit in with the program, to be accepted by the church. Fortunately, the young woman I would eventually marry had a heart of purity untouched by the culture I grew up in. She was a convert, raised in the LDS Mormon church, and brought into our version of Christianity. She had two principled parents, a home that was emotionally, financially, and spiritually stable. But more than that, she had a sincerity and honesty that set her apart from everyone else I'd ever known, especially me. She pursued God with passion. She pursued truth with ease. And without question, she deserves the lion's share of the credit for keeping me from the trouble my authentic self was drawn to. Still, we were two young people with the hormones of young people. So like many others in our world, we got married young to avoid temptation and to avoid sin. We clung to that verse, "It is better to marry than to burn." And for a time, it worked. Marriage quieted the darker parts of me, for a moment. But I still carried a curiosity no one knew about, and like so many young men, I found myself secretly exploring pornography. To be fair, it was something I largely controlled and abstained from for most of our early marriage. From the outside, I appeared pure, devout, disciplined. I was rising fast in youth ministry. My wife and I were known for loving young people without judgment. We had weathered the collapse of former leaders caught in scandal, and we were pillars of consistency. People trusted us, they confided in us, and that trust would soon be tested. One weeknight, without warning, one of the older students in our youth group showed up at my house. He was visibly shaken and he needed to talk. That wasn't unusual, but what caught me off guard was that he came to me, not the youth pastor, because at the time I was only a volunteer, but he was desperate. He told me in confidence that his friend had been inappropriately touched by the youth pastor. He didn't give details, but the fear and pain in his voice said enough. After he left, I was at a loss. I called another youth leader whose father was on the church board, and I asked if I could speak with him directly. I knew I had to escalate it. Even though I was sworn to secrecy, I had to report what I'd heard. That board member told me to go directly to the senior pastor, so I did. I called him that night and told him I needed to speak with him immediately. We met at his massive office, just the two of us. I explained everything I had heard. The pastor's face turned red. The air left the room. "Did the victim himself tell you this?" he asked. No, I said. His friend did. That was all he needed. He exploded. He accused me of bringing a false report, of trying to sabotage the youth pastor, of wanting his job. He condemned me biblically, claimed I had spread rumors, and worst of all, he was furious that I had spoken to a board member before him. He told me I was to say nothing, that he would handle it. And he did. By denying everything, he confronted the parties involved, declared it a misunderstanding, and swept it all under the rug. From that day forward, I was no longer his trusted son in the faith. I was suspect, disloyal, dangerous. He told me I needed to rebuild my reputation, that I had sinned by spreading gossip, that because I hadn't heard it directly from the victim, I was complicit in falsehood. The youth pastor, he kept his job for over a year. And I tucked my tail, stayed silent, obedient, desperate for approval. That's when I let fear take control. And it has wreaked havoc in my life since.